Well, my name is Cuthbert, and I'm an artist. I've been an artist really all my life. I was trained a long time ago in London, and I live in Winscombe now. And my husband and I are both artists, and we do a variety of different things under that kind of umbrella term. We do quite a bit of teaching. We since lockdowns, all these lockdowns, we've been reinventing ourselves as an online art what art school. And so we are the Art Shed Winscombe, and we have Zoom classes, and we have a YouTube channel with some old demos put up from the classes, as well as one or two talks that David has given online. So that's what we're spending a lot of time doing at the moment. And also, of course, we're continuing our painting. There's time to do that during lockdown. I'm developing a new series of paintings, and so yeah, time goes on. It's certainly, we're not bored.
No, that's very good, Ros. So what was your exhibition or your involvement in the museum? Where did that come from, and what was it about, really?
Yeah, what was my involvement with the museum? Yes, well, I was born and brought up in Weston, and I've known the museum for a very long time. And my daughter Thomasin and my daughter is, I should say, in theatre. She runs Soap Soup Theatre, which produces performances, productions for children, and tours nationally. And she's been doing that for some time, and had quite a lot of success at it. So in my art, a strange character came out of some collage that I was doing in about, I don't know, years ago, 2014 or 15 or something like that. And I started doing collages based on this strange character, which was a two-headed doll based on me finding my old doll and my sister's old doll's head in a bag together. All the parts of the doll had been, the rubber bands had perished, and all the parts were jumbled up. And when I took them out of this old bag, I sort of immediately saw that this could make a two-headed doll, which was bizarre, to say the least. Anyway, the next day I found in the village next to what used to be the play school a little paper heart, and on it a little toddler or tot had written her name twice, practicing her name on this little paper heart, probably during the play school. And it said Matilda, Matilda in, baby writing. And I just thought, oh, that's cute. And then I suddenly thought, wow, that's the name of this two-headed doll. And a whole bunch of collages and a whole narrative started to emerge over the next months in my head. My daughter really liked it, and she kind of persuaded me to do a production for children based on the story. So, well, we spent probably a couple of years developing that and talking about it, and then Thomasin got funding from the Arts Council to do a research and development. And so that's when we started to use Western Museum as a base for our research and development activities. So we did one or two sessions there, and the second session was opened to an invited audience who were giving us feedback on the first few songs that we learned or were learning, and some one or two little skits, and the first puppet that I've made, the two-headed puppet that I've made. And at the same time, we had an exhibition on in the beautiful courtyard in the museum of work in progress. It was probably called something like Making Matilda Matilda. And during that exhibition, we had our kind of feedback session. So it was all very exciting. And then as we developed the show, we started to think about where we might want to launch it. And Thomasin had really loved the courtyard in which we showed and everything. And so we decided we would launch our our show in the courtyard of Western Museum. And so that's what we did. And that was in May, about May the 20th, 2019.
Okay, so that is really covered a few of the questions that I had in one foul swoop, so to speak. But are there any new projects that you're working on at the moment, or even other projects involving the infamous Matilda?
Well, after we had launched the show at Western Museum to a wonderful audience, it was a great evening. After we had launched the show there, we took it on national tour, again funded by the Arts Council. We were very lucky to get the 2 grants from them to support the show. We took it to about 10 venues in all over England and Wales during 2019. Then, of course, lockdown began to, well, the following year, lockdown happened. But actually, in that time before, I had started to write the novel of Matilda, the story. I wrote it up as a novel for children, and I spent a year or so working on that novel. And then during the first lockdown in March of this year, I started to try and find a publisher, which I haven't succeeded in doing yet. But once the dust settles around all our other projects, I'll start doing that again. So, yeah, the story of Matilda and the development of the book is an ongoing project.
Yeah, so it sounds like Matilda could turn into quite a series almost. You know, it can be an ever-growing project.
Yeah, I think it's a wait and see kind of game, really, at the moment, to see how everything develops and what happens, and in what way I can develop Matilda and the story, and make me present it maybe in different ways to audiences, perhaps online or whatever. I have thought about doing readings of the story for children. I haven't done anything about that yet. So there are 1 or 2 things that may happen with the story of Matilda. The story takes place between Weston-super-Mare and New York. So this magical doll becomes a child with some and she's able to fly. She learns how to fly, and through a series of unfortunate experiences, she finds herself in New York, and a whole mysterious tale of her beginnings unravels in New York, and eventually she finds her way back.
Yeah, the potential for adventure is huge then.
Yeah, the potential for adventure is huge, and I'm already thinking about perhaps a sequel to the first book.
Oh, okay.
I also read it just before lockdown. In January and February 2019, I read the whole story to Walliscote Primary School, to the oldest class, the Year 10s, the kids in Walliscote Primary School, which was really fun. So enjoyed reading it to them, and I was hoping to do more of that, but obviously it hasn't happened yet.